Hello, hello. This is my second time recording this because the first one did not work out and I'm very tired. So you're gonna get this video with me laying down and with cat butt in it, and she's probably gonna be here the whole time, so enjoy that. So we're continuing with some cringy middle school stories that I will have to explain my way through because these ones, if you thought the Tragedies Awakening or the transfer station stories were bad, get ready because these are something else. These are what you would expect a middle schooler maybe to write about. But so the first one we are going to start with is kind of built like a diary, both of them. So I have two little short stories. Probably each going to be taking, the first one should maybe take 14 minutes and the second one maybe 5. They're short. So this first one that I'm going to be reading for you, I wrote December 21st, 2012, so 7th grade, and it's called The Day They Came. Alright. It was a warm summer night when they had come. I was all alone at home, and my father never came home. When I knew he was coming home late, I turned off all the electronics and locked up everything. 2 days passed, and still he never came back. I didn't go outside to get the newspaper, and when I looked out the window, there was my father's car. He hit the tree. I saw him move and then ran out to get him. His legs were stuck, but not broken. I had to drag him into the house. He laid unconscious on the floor. I didn't care that he hasn't been home for 2 days. I was happy that he didn't abandon me. 5 days had passed, and he finally woke up. He looked scared to see me. He searched me up and down, looked at me, smiled, and then hugged me. That's when, through the curtains, I saw what Father was scared of. Father closed the curtains and then looked at me and said, We will make it through this. My father is a general in the United States Army. Through the years, he has collected military weapons and armor. He told me to change into some warmer clothes and pack whatever I needed into a small backpack. I changed into a flannel, tank top, and shorts, and Father made me wear my soccer gear to protect myself. So basically, he's a general. He's collected all of these weapons and all this, tactical grade armor, and he makes me put on shin guards. At least my thinking now, I'm like, what the heck, you know? Alright. It gets even better. I strapped an AK-47 and a sniper rifle to my back. My father gave me one of his machetes, knowing I'm better with melee weapons. We put some of the food that doesn't get rotten into a bag. Then we set out. The town of Mayfield had become a ghost town. Father told me the demented animals walked around in the day while they walked at night. When I looked at Father talking about these things, he seemed like a child who just had a nightmare. We walked at least 10 blocks till we heard screams down one of the alleyways. Father and I ran till we saw some kind of dogs closing in on a 7-year-old. I grabbed my machete and started to kill the dogs. When I got to the little boy, he was shivering and crying. I picked him up, and we continued out of the city. So, it isn't a ghost town. We found a little boy. This is so cringy. At least on my part. We spent 5 days trying to reach our bunker in the middle of the forest. Me and the little boy got to know each other, too. Father said when we got to the bunker, he would go back and get some armor and more weapons for him. So back to the boy. His name is Thomas, and he's a very hyper boy. He calls me Miss all the time, and Thomas talks about how his mother went away. I find it quite sad. He also acts very brave around people, although I know he wants to run and cry. His nice brown hair is soft and fluffy like a silk towel. And to make this seem even more like a journal, I even went on Google and searched for a picture of what I thought Thomas would look like. And as you can see, it says Thomas, the first day I met him, crying and everything, a little anime boy. That's supposed to be him. When we got to the bunker, Father gave me an ID to open it and then left. Thomas and I waited for my father for 10 days. Then we left for my house. After a day, we found his weapons and gear. No body. When I saw this, I dropped to my knees and started crying. Thomas looked at me and then put on my father's clothes and then said, "It's all right. We're all right." When he did this, I suddenly realized I can't let them get Thomas. So my thinking during this is, if you've ever read the Fruits Basket mangas, which I'm absolutely my favorite, the main character, to make her mom feel better after her dad's death, she put on his clothes because she thought that her mom didn't love her and only loved her dad. So in order to keep her mom around and stuff, she thought, if I became him, then she'll feel better. So that's where my thinking over, Thomas putting my dad's gear on. I loved Thomas like he was my brother. He was all I had. I picked up Father's things and Thomas and went back to the bunker. It only took a week before we ran out of food. Which I also want to say, it's kind of like, if you're prepared enough to have a bunker out in the middle of the woods, it should also be like maybe stock full of gear and like food and water, you would think. At least that's what I think now. But 7th grade Emma, apparently not so much. The animals have also noticed us living here. For our safety, I took Thomas to Yellowstone National Park. It was only 5 miles away. And since they updated the walls to 80 feet, it was perfectly safe. So about the whole wall thing at Yellowstone, during this time I remember reading about the deer population in Yellowstone and how they had gotten so out of hand that they started, doing what deer do, they ate almost all, eating all the vegetation they could. They even started leaving the park and went into the towns surrounding Yellowstone and started, eating their trees and grasses, and they're terrorizing. And this was because the wolf population in Yellowstone was at, drastically low. So they weren't able to, commit to natural selection. Oh, is she leaving? I'll move that for you. How's that feel? Say hello, Jonesy. Huh? Thank you. Fat ass. Alright. Where were we? When we got there, Thomas asked if there would be anyone else here. I shrugged as we walked on. When I opened the door, a bunch of people were standing in front of us, ready to defend themselves. It took them a couple seconds to realize we were one of them. One of the men laughed and then said he was sorry. One of the older ladies tried to take Thomas away from my side, and all he did was hold on to me. The whole older lady trying to take Thomas away from the girl who's writing the story is supposed to be this older mom kind of chick, or just an old lady. She looks at me as being a child or the girl in the story as being a child, and because technically she is. I don't know if I ever mentioned her name, but I'm pretty sure she's meant to be 15, maybe. And so she's like, "Oh, you can't take care of a little boy, so I'm gonna take him and I'm gonna, keep him safe." But of course, I'm like, "No, we're together, you can't do anything." Anyway, the leader of the camp was a man named Clyde. He showed us where we could set up a tent. After we set up, I went and took a picture of the camp. This girl and her Polaroid camera. So that's supposed to be the setting where we're at and everything, or what it looks like. And it's supposed to be on the, right next to the wall. So behind that, imagine a gray concrete wall. Alright, some of the other girls gave me clothes to wear besides my armor. Shin guards. They were making fun of me. They thought I couldn't hear them snickering as they left. As they should, because you're wearing shin guards. The next day when I woke up, all of the other people were screaming. I grabbed a pistol and opened the tent door. Zip. It was a group of those a group of those demented animals Clyde called Gormengasts. All it did was smell me, and then it and the other Gormengasts ran off. Me and the other campers searched for more, and we found one in a tent. I got a good picture of it before they killed it. And so this is supposed to be the Gormengast, which is actually, I'm pretty sure it's just a monster from one of the Silent Hill video games. But that's what I thought I wanted it to look like, and that's also the thing that the girl in this story kills with a machete to save Thomas. And at the end of this, I'll tell you how I came up with the names for this. For these, there's two main monsters, and I'll tell you how I came up with the names for them. Thomas slept through the whole thing. I was glad because he said he never wanted to see a Gormengast again. It was late afternoon when we saw more of the Gormengasts. All they did was slobber over everything and run for shelter. We really shouldn't have stayed there after the whole thing in the morning. When night had come, they who had taken my father, the ones called the Ozarks, attacked. They were surrounding us, taking everyone but the children, and I just looked at them. They looked like trees or some sea monster. One of the Ozarks stopped and looked at me. All of them stopped, just stopped and stared. Like the song, you know, stopped and stared. Whatever other lyrics come after that. When you looked at them the way I did, the Ozarks looked sad. It seemed like they were saying sorry, and they stayed until I took a picture. This girl, her Polaroid camera is so readily at hand. It's more readily at hand than a weapon. I mean, she just pulls that thing out all the time. Anyway, so here's what an Ozark is supposed to look like. I don't know what this is from, but you know, I just went on Google Images in 7th grade and be like looking at monsters, and this came up and I was like, yeah, that's the one. This is big and this is menacing. Kind of cute though. Look at it. Look at that little face. Yeah. Super cute. Alright. It was funny. It almost seemed as they walked away with all of my friends, I thought, I'm alone again. I took Thomas by the hand and started to follow. When we reached the cave, the Ozarks and the Gormengasts were divided, and the cave was split between light and dark. So imagine, you know, you have this regular entrance to a cave, and straight down the middle, one side is full of light and these nasty Gormengast creatures, and the other side is completely pitch black and has the Ozarks just standing around, you know. Don't know how the physics of that work. 7th grade, I don't understand. The cave was split between light and dark. Thomas, being scared of the dark, was brave and chose the darkness, knowing the Ozarks won't kill us. We traveled the darkened path, awaiting our fate. At last we reached it, the Queen's lair. It was awful. There were bodies and bones everywhere. I gave Thomas a fire grenade out of fear for him getting killed. I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd trust a 7-year-old with a fire grenade, but apparently this girl does. When we had found the Queen, she was eating her next victim. Sad thing was, they were all alive. Their shrieks of fear were piercing my heart, and I stood staring at them. I flinched as I saw my dad and all my friends trapped in a cage of dried mucus, waiting to be eaten. And the whole thing with the dried mucus, if you have ever seen Alien, Michael, I know you have, but anyone else who happens to find these videos and wants to watch them, with the mucus, it was supposed to be like, you know, an Alien, when the xenomorphs get the hosts for the face huggers and they trap them to the wall, like their arms are like glued to the wall with this like weird mucus kind of thing, which is their dribble. That's what I had, but it's a huge, like, looks like a bird cage full of people where the queen can just go, boop, take them out and eat them. That was my thinking. When the queen grabbed my dad, I yelled, so he's apparently still alive. She then dropped him. When he hit the floor, it echoed. I ran as fast as I could to his side. Oh, getting a phone call. Wonder who could that be? Like my my ringtone to the what is it? 80s aerobicize thing. Anyway. Oh, she then dropped him when he hit the floor, it echoed. I ran as fast as I could to his side, but at last I was late. He broke his neck on the way down and a few other bones. The blood flowed out of his body like a river. I couldn't look. I closed his eyes, which you can't do until rigor mortis has set in or after rigor mortis. One of those two, because, you know, his eyes are not going to close. That's not how it works. Even though that's how they portray it working in movies, it's not how it works. The queen then screeched. Then I had noticed I forgot Thomas. When I looked up at the queen and saw him throw the grenade down into the roots, I yelled for him to jump to me. As soon as he jumped, it went off. He flew through the air into my arms, and I cried as I caught him. I was so happy he didn't die. All he did was look up and smile. It was over. Me, Thomas, and the others all left and never saw Gormenghast or an Ozark ever again. Things started to become normal again. Today is Thomas's birthday. He is turning 8. It's been a year since they had come. My name is May, and I hope nobody has to go through the same thing I did. That's her little excerpt, I guess. It took me 5 months to finish this, so it says, I have a date. It says I finished it May 7th, 2013. To write, like, I think it's literally 16 pages of crud. Look at that. Just 16 pages of crud. Took me 5 months to do. Okay. Oh, the names, how I came up with Gormenghasts and Ozarks. So, this was in my 7th grade math class with Mrs. Davis, our Russian teacher, and there was a boy sitting next to me, and I can't, for the life of me, it probably would take only one good Facebook search. I'm probably still friends with him, but I can't remember his first name, but I'm pretty sure his last name started with, was a Boyd, and he sat next to me, and he actually helped me write this story. He if I needed things, like, I was like, hey, you know, some weapon names, tell me some. He came up with the AK-47 and sniper rifle and the machete. I asked him what's some gear a kid would wear, and he was like, I don't know, put her in some shin guards. Which is dumb, but we were both in the 7th grade, so whatever. And then I wanted to tell you, I remember this clearly. He took us a week to come up with a cool name for the monsters. I don't know how we landed on Gormenghast or Ozark, but he suggested it, and I was like, well, I don't care. That's how it's gonna go. So, let's go with another one. It's also in a diary format, except it is from a boy's perspective. I'm not a boy, so tell me if this is how a boy would think. It's a diary/journal. It's called The Average Life of Gordon Freeman. Nice name. So it looks like I started this story one day after I finished the other one, so May 8th, 2013. Alright, The Average Life of Gordon Freeman. Here it goes. September 1st. It's the first day of school. I have to say, I wish I never had moved. My name is Gordon Freeman, and there's nothing special about me. I'm just an average teenage boy. I moved from New York to Carterville, Kansas, which I don't know if that's a real place. I'm a freshman, just the more to watch my back. September 2nd. Worst day of my life. Today I wore a vest to look a little smarter and get into a club. When I asked somebody where the physics room was, they looked me over, laughed, and then told me that there were some of the members in the boys' restroom on the 3rd floor. Well, little old me believed him. Yeah, that was the jocks' restroom. You know, when you think of a swirly, you think of some kind of candy. Well, it's not a good tasting candy. September 3rd. Okay, so clubs are out. I don't think my high school years are going to have a lot of sparkle to it. September 21st. Yeah, it's been a while. Nothing interesting is happening in my life. Well, today was different. So my friend, yeah, I can make friends, Zach and I were walking to school when we noticed a cop leaning on his car. Guess what? He was sleeping. When you see something like that, you gotta do something. Well, Zach told me to go get some eggs, and when I came back, he grabbed an egg, woke up the cop, then threw it at his face. That's the hardest I ran in my life. September 30th. Me and Zach are currently wanted for assaulting a police officer. We are hiding in the back of a school bus. Zach's sleeping, so I have to be careful not to let him see me writing. You know, now thinking about this whole problem, the only guy the police are after is Zach. He told me I could go home, but it just wouldn't feel right. Crud, he woke up. October 10th. Haven't been able to get away from Zach. I'm walking back to the hideout from buying groceries. Zach has gone crazy, and I'm kind of worried. October 20th. I had to steal handcuffs today. Zach has started talking about killing people, saying it would be fun. I did this for his own good. Today, I left him in the hideout. November 1st. The news reported Zach. Well, not quite. They don't know the killer, but I know. He had killed a little girl. November 23rd. The city's under lockdown. My parents went on vacation before everything went down, and I'm alone. Although I'm not scared, I've boarded up the windows and doors. I'm not a big eater, so food will not run low. December 1st. December 1st. Everything is calm. Now I'm scared. Zach's coming for me. I heard on the news he has a gun now. This time he killed 2 elderly ladies. My parents are not back yet. December 10th. Zach's been banging on the door. I haven't had a decent night's sleep. I've got a fever too. It's cold and there have been earthquakes. Half of the town has been covered in rocks and dirt. December 20th. I found out Zach's been sleeping in the shed. I'm getting really sick. My lungs hurt. December 25th. Merry Christmas to me. I'm in a closet hiding. Zach's in the house. I don't know how much longer I have. The house is currently breaking apart because of the earthquake. And it pauses. And then in really scribbly writing, which I'll show you guys, it says, and that's why no one found the bodies. You've never heard of Carterville, Kansas, have you? And so this is supposed to be, so little Gordon died while writing this. So look, I actually put like colored pencil, blood in, and like the little scratchy writing, as you can see. So this is where Gordon stopped and he died. And this is where Zach, his friend, finished. And literally, as a little excerpt, I wrote, I feel like my stories are shit. Not a big confidence boost for me. I don't think, in this whole thing, I haven't written in since then. Oh, never mind. There is math problems in the very back, because I'm crap at math. Anyway, so, what was I going to say about this? Oh, yeah. And so, this whole thing gets started by literally them just throwing eggs at a cop, which I don't think for, like, a bunch of, like, freshmen. And I think, what was I? I was 14 when I was a freshman in high school. So, I don't think for a 14-year-old that could be really counted as assault. You tell me if you know. I think they would just, get a slap on the hand and maybe do some community service. Probably not worthy of juvenile detention, even. Yeah, and then, Zach going crazy. They have to hide away and everything from the cops. Very unrealistic, but I think I had fun writing it. I don't actually know. I don't have a thing on here that says when I finished it. But I can only imagine it took me a little bit. Anyway, those are 2 small stories that I have, that I had. And I think that's about all. That's it for middle school. Unless I do a video over, I did write comics from 4th to probably just 4th and 5th grade. I'm not sure if it went all the way to 6th grade, but I had little comics. And I might do that. Depends. Who knows? Anyway, my voice is going, so I guess I should end this. Hope you enjoyed this shitty video and could find peace in my voice because it's kind of soothing. Anyway, peace out, y'all.